Story 1. Personally, I am not avoiding dates as much as I am not putting myself out there. I will not say I am not getting dates because I have not even tried. But I will not say I am avoiding it either because if by some miracle, a girl asks me out or by some other weird circumstances I had to go on a date, I would not exactly reject it. Story 2. I am a single widower in my 60s. I am not in the market because I could never hope to find a woman even remotely as wonderful as my late wife. I have two 30-something sons, one a divorced single dad completely disenchanted with relationships, and another who shows zero interest in having a girlfriend. Anecdotal, I know, but there it is. Story 3. I suppose me. I've never been on a date. I am afraid. Afraid of rejection. Afraid of hurting anyone. Afraid of being creepy. Making people uncomfortable. So I stay home. Go straight home from work and class. I am very depressed. Story 4. I am not from any self-esteem issue or fear of rejection or anything like that. I, like many other younger people, don't have an interest in it. Even going through high school and college, I was never really interested in a serious long-term relationship. I just like having my time to myself, and not to sound self-important, but it feels like it would be a selfish move to try and enter a relationship with someone else and not be as committed or put in the same level of interest as them. Story 5. I do not think you will find an exact percentage, but I can firmly tell you based on talking to a lot of the men I know, they are not avoiding. They would like to, but stop trying after being left unread, getting no responses, receiving fake numbers, being stood up, and girls not wanting to talk to them or having a general interest in them. I feel bad for them. As a man myself, I understand the struggle. It is really rough for them these days. Story 6. You are on Reddit. Everyone on here pretends they are avoiding dating as opposed to dating avoiding them. Seriously though, modern dating is hell. Anyone with sense is just living their lives and trusting that they will either live as fulfilling lives as they can alone, or get lucky and run into a viable partner through mutual interests. I give 3-to-1 odds toward the former. Story 7. You'll find many men who avoid dating applications, but I have a feeling if an attractive enough woman with a good enough personality appeared in their lap, they would take it. I do not use applications. I tried them, I tried learning the process, and I just did not like it. It works for some people, but it does not work for me. I recently got out of a very long relationship less than a year ago, so my attempts have not been too forward. I am going to get involved with activities I enjoy and hope to meet people that way, whether friends or otherwise. You never know what is behind the door. Story 8. Guy in my 30s. Less than 1/3 of my male peers are married. Another third is in the polyamorous or hippie love lifestyle. The last third is like me. Broke, beat down, and tired of relationships. Story 9. Actively avoiding? Probably 1% or less. If you mean how many simply are not actively pursuing a relationship, then probably closer to 80%. Factor in the people who are already in one, married, recently broken up, not financially stable, not ready to settle down, and so on. Story 10. I am currently feeling upset about how I have managed the second half of my 20s very badly, so I don't want to be tied down for the next few years. If I'm traveling, I wouldn't turn down the opportunity to connect with someone I clicked with while diving, surfing, or anything like that. Story 11. No idea, but I am one of them. I never had a 9-to-5 job with weekends off, so dating was always tricky when I was younger. Now that I am in my 40s and have a somewhat more normal work schedule, it is still not easy. You meet someone and they seem cool, but then you find out they have a ridiculous amount of debt. Kids, cannot hold down a full-time job, and are stoned all the time. I am not claiming to be a catch, but you either have standards or you do not. Story 12. Hard to say, probably less than what you would think. I would like to think if a girl who seemed approachable asked a guy on a date, 9 out of 10 times they would say sure. I would not do it, but I think I am in the minority. Story 13. I am out. None of my past relationships lasted for more than 6 months. I am done with dating. Hopefully, God will send someone who will be my one. Until then, I am out. Story 14, I don't know, but I do know that the older I got, say from 25 and older, I pretty much had to accept that if I wanted to talk to a girl who was available, the odds were that she already had a child, which also meant there was a chance I'd have to deal with her child's father issues. My dad got with my mom when she already had two kids, so this isn't something that is automatically negative for me, but it is something I wouldn't intentionally throw myself into unless we are really connecting well. Story 15. Honestly, it feels like I am buying love. I was born a man, so I need to provide, and if I don't, I'm not worth anything. All the books about love and companionship that I read were fake. I'm pretty sure someone will just come and say, "Sounds gay to me," and honestly, think whatever you want. Story 16. Not avoid, per se. There has never been a large number of eligible females breaking down my door. It's just, I was never very good at it, and at some point I took the hint. The relationships I've had in my life sort of just happened, never as the result of me asking a woman out on a date. Story 17. I'm in my 30s in the United States, and all my single guy friends have basically given up. They want to go on dates but can't find them, and as far as I know, have stopped putting in the work on the applications most of the time. I know two single women. They go on dates, but they are very picky. I'm not saying they shouldn't be, but the effect is that they are still single even though neither wants to be. I'm non-monogamous and partnered. I put a ton of work into dating. It's awful, but I occasionally land a date. It does seem like dating is broken compared to how it was when I was in my 20s. Story 18. A decent chunk. At least in my case, I feel like I would never be good enough for anyone. Even if someone tricked themselves into thinking I was worth it, I would just let them down eventually, despite my best efforts. Best case scenario, we have a few years before she cheats and replaces me with another better man. It would not be that hard for her. Story 19. I am not a red pill person, but I hear how women's groups talk about men trying to date someone. They say some diabolical things about them. It's toxic, and I do not feel like putting myself in the crossfire when I have not found many people attractive in looks or personality anyway. Story 20. I'm 40 and single because I'm just too busy with my work and other things to even consider dating right now. I'm pretty active in my church, and that keeps me busy outside of work. Maybe I'll meet someone there, but I'm not really in the mental space to date right now. I want to get my finances on track first, pay off debts and the like, and build some savings before I date. At my age, I'm not looking to date casually. That's a young man's game. If I start dating now, it's to marry that person, so I'm going to consider who I date carefully. Story 21. I am very much trying to find a real human being online that would be interested in doing so, but especially now during Valentine's week, bots are very prevalent. In fact, I'm entertaining myself by toying with one now. Story 22. I don't date, but not because I think I'm ugly. I actually believe I'm fairly attractive. However, I have too much bottled aggression and confidence issues, so I don't feel prepared to date. When it comes to dating, you need to remember you're not only dealing with your issues but another person's as well. I can admit that I can be really mean when I get low, like really mean girls mean. I don't want to inflict that on some poor soul and repeat my parents' lives. It's not fair to them or me. For context, I'm turning 30 this year and have only had 3 relationships. The last one was a real eye-opener, showing me that I have a lot of maturing and growing to do before I consider settling down with someone. It's not the exact answer to your question, but I wanted to share. Story 23. Avoiding is way too strong of a term for it, but I am not pursuing anything. The dating applications do not work for me, and the only women I meet are customers, and I am not risking my job to make any passes at them. I am also at a point in my life where I am actively pursuing a career, so I am not trying to burn more energy on social habits when I am not at work. If someone dateable comes along, great. If not, I am all good. Story 24. I do not because I am not in a position in life to be the kind of man I would like my partner to have. I am still kind of going through some personal issues and want something serious. I cannot ask someone I am going to care about to deal with that. I will occasionally put myself out there, but it is few and far between. Story 25. COVID hit and I fell out of trying to date. After that, I just sort of didn't feel like it anymore. I realized how much the dating apps are not great, how much effort it took to make dates happen, and how expensive dating itself is. Nowadays, whenever I get the urge to try dating again, I quickly realize I'm either just feeling lonely or something else, and after a day or so, I really don't feel like it anymore. For me, with a few exceptions, most of my dating experiences have been from apps. I'm socially awkward, and besides a few close friends, I've always had trouble approaching someone in person, much less being able to interpret any kind of social cues. Through apps, I used to be able to get dates consistently and even met my former fiancé through them. But over the last several years, especially post-COVID, dating apps have just felt more exhausting to navigate, more pay-to-play, and less successful for me. This is probably a big part of why, at least for me, dating has lost a lot of my interest. For the record, I'm 28. Story 26. I used to date regularly. I went through serious trauma around the age of 39 to 40 and wound down having women in my life. Nowadays, I just stick to myself. I may date again in my 50s, but I am in no rush. Story 27. Most women in my age group are just not worth the effort for most likely either being cheated on or losing half of everything I have, plus monthly payments for the rest of my life. When the divorce rate is over 2/3 and the majority of those were initiated by the women, why even try? Story 28. Google says 25%. I know I am, after 25 years of nonstop relationships, most long-term and one 17-year marriage. I'm pretty happy now as a single parent in my 40s. They have nothing to add that I can't get through friends and family, except physical intimacy, but it's one con versus many pros. Story 29 has to be a big percentage. I don't avoid dating, but I have adopted the mantra of, if she likes me, she'll make the first move. Crazy thing to say, I know, but I need to know she's interested in me for me. Story 30. What exactly are girls bringing to the table these days? I have dated multiple girls in the past few years, and not a single one can cook. They all have significant debt in useless degrees, yet they expect me to do everything for them, and they want to be a stay-at-home mom. Story 31. Google says 14.8% of people over 18 are single in the United States. I would guess most of those are not actively avoiding dating, but we know it's not higher than 14.8%. Story 32. It doesn't have to sound like a bad thing. I'm avoiding dating partly because of first-time experiences, to be sure, but I've just gotten comfortable not consulting a counsel on my decisions and just making myself happy with no help from others. I know I can find a girl if I tried. I just don't care to. I value my peace, and my anecdotal experience has shown me that the fewer social entanglements I have, the fewer headaches I tend to get. Story 33. Neither avoiding nor trying to date, just busy. It seems like it would be difficult to come up with a percentage, and it would also be helpful to know if you were talking globally or about a country. Economic instability and fascism make longer-term planning difficult, though. The future is highly unstable. But people are still attractive and fun, so I guess we will see how things shake out. I do not imagine I will be buying a house at any point in the future, though. Story 34. I wouldn't say avoiding right now, but taking a break after the last 6 didn't work out. Most were only a few weeks, thankfully. One lasted about 7 months, and that kind of hurt when she ended it. I've been really trying, but no one is interested. Unfortunately, I don't earn $200,000. I'm not that good looking, but I work really hard. I wish that was enough. To be clear, I'm not looking for anyone's pity. So please don't give me the "you'll find the right one" response. Something I'm wondering is if it's common for women to be the ones to end the relationship, because I never ended any of them. It was always the women I was dating. Story 35. I gave up. My last relationship, I barely survived due to severe domestic abuse, but that's not why I gave up. I gave up because of the responses I got when I told potential partners about what I experienced. Story 36. No one is avoiding dating. They just do not have options. If a chance to date someone they found interesting came up, they would take the date rather than say they do not want to date. Story 37. I've stopped trying because I just know I'm not good enough. I'm not that attractive and I'm totally broke, on top of being awkward. I feel like the women of the world deserve more than I can offer. Story 38. I've stopped trying because I just know I'm not good enough. I'm not that attractive and I'm totally broke, on top of being awkward. I feel like the women of the world deserve more than I can offer. Story 39. Avoiding dating? Not really. I'm too busy working. I'll be 30 in a few months, and it's like everyone my age has a kid now. So that'll be interesting. Story 40. I like casual dating, but I see why other men might avoid it. Takes a lot to put yourself out there, and I got used to it before the internet had a plethora of options at your fingertips. Story 41. Alright, as someone who is indeed pursuing, it really doesn't seem like a lot are. Every time I do indeed hook up or whatever, they gather around and have me tell them stories, looking at me like I discovered fire. But I don't know. I was in a 15-year-long relationship, so maybe I'm just better at talking to girls than most guys. And no, I don't go out to bars or anything crazy. I just play World of Warcraft and work in a casino, a place known for poor decision-making. Story 42. I personally think it's amazing I've gotten into as many relationships as I have had. I don't really seek out women like that. I usually get chased or asked out. I'm not trying to come off as conceited either. I'm actually a pretty shy and quiet person who enjoys a boring life, crossfitting, health, and PC gaming. I think on the outside I look like that cool party guy. However, inside, that's not the case. I've just realized as I've gotten older that a lot of the women who show interest in me, and I end up getting involved with, tend to be married or in long-term relationships. It's common enough that I could never allow myself to be married because of this. For the record, it disgusts me, and I do not like being part of an arrangement like that. I'm a pretty traditional person. Now I'm 39, and I just don't think it would be worth the risks. My career is great. I own my home, actually multiple homes. I'm well-traveled and have a lot of peace without someone being part of my life. You need time to really know people. And it's kind of shocking how some people can live basically a double life without a shred of guilt.